So now we're beginning the second award presentation, and we're going to do it in the following way. I'm going to say a few words about Cherie and also read a few words that Paul Pullman wrote today about her. So I met Cherie with my dad and her mom in, was it Palm Beach or something like that? One of those communities in Florida at a private banking meeting for women. And we fell in love, and we've been together ever since. I mean, of course, she's married to the amazing Enki, but we still are in love. And because Cherie, who comes from a business family in Indonesia, and in those early days when I met her, they were one of the big business families, but always with both an environmental sensitivity and a social conscience. But over time, their family had considerable problems because of some of the divisions in Indonesia, and really struggled, and her father was kidnapped, and it was a very, very difficult time. Cherie had to step up more into the family business, but at the same time, she started this remarkable organization that she and I will talk about a little bit more later, called United in Diversity, which she claims had something to do with her getting to know Synergos, but I know that she already had the heart and the vision to see that the divisions that existed in Indonesia were unacceptable, and that that was not going to become a sustainable country unless some of those divides were crossed. And then she's moved now into climate finance, and she's going to talk about that more, so I'm not going to say too much more about by introducing her. But she has gotten to work with the Indonesian government, some representatives of which I believe are her colleagues and here tonight, and welcome wherever you are sitting. And she also has worked with people all over the world. It's just amazing to me how many people you know and interact with Cherie. And all of it is in the interest of bridging divides, whether it's divides around climate inequities or climate finance, or whether it's in her own country or work you've done in a similar way in China. So this is why our jury, of which Valerie, where are you, Valerie? Valerie's on the jury, and Paul Pullman, who's not here tonight, and several others of us unanimously wanted to nominate Cherie for this Bridging Leadership Award. So Cherie, can I ask you to come up here, and you'll have to put your camera down. And we're going to sit over here. To start United in Diversity, who you pulled together to work on that with you, and why did you do it?
Thank you, Peggy. I have to say that this has been a really special evening. Thank you all for being here and for Synergos, and I think a lot of this comes back full circle. When I think I first met Peggy and your family, who have, I would like to say that you are like a lotus that sort of emerges from but untainted, and go towards the sun. The sunlight, and you link to the grassroots. And wouldn't you agree? Yeah. Right? so I think coming from a formidable legacy, and yet you have this dream, this very big dream of bridging others and also bridging the divides, as you say. And I think for myself, as a sort of young at that time, it was when we first met, and I really was inspired, and I really believe that, especially after what has happened in terms of the crisis that has happened at that time, which really hit our family, I realized that it is important to unite in diversity. Actually, united in diversity is a motto of the Indonesia, the Pancasila, which is like there's the Garuda, and the emblem has this Garuda. They are holding on to this word, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which means united in diversity. It's a country that is the largest archipelagic country, and I think we talk about different communities, ethnic groups, and so it's a very diverse country. And at that time, after 97, 98 financial crisis, there was the Bali bombing, and people felt that Indonesia was going to disintegrate and break apart. At that time, we faced major. Our businesses were actually we had major we lost the largest our businesses. It was the largest nationalization at that time, and we felt that when we have been, I think you know about our aquaculture farm before. It was the world's largest aquaculture farm. It was like microcredit. Even before Grameen Bank, I think my father and my parents, they had this vision to really support the communities. But I think when the currencies crashed and there was the financial crisis, it was a time where businesses were blamed also. And at that time, there was also a lot of political tensions, ethnic divisions, and so it was a time where we actually, when you came to me, and that's why I think you're also, your family and you have stood up always, in the most difficult of times, and you actually introduced me at that time to Aristides Katopo, late Aristides Katopo, who was a dissident in the country, and he was a peaceful journalist. And he became the co-founder of United in Diversity Foundation.
So it was journalist, non-profit, and a business leader.
Yes, yeah. Yes. And so the founding, there were also many other Jim Wolfenson, the late president of the World Bank, also, he was the one who actually announced the founding of UID in the Indonesian embassy in Washington, D.C., together with MIT. MIT came together because we felt, actually, at that time, it was also, it was quite unusual, United in Diversity. We also had Howard Stevenson from Harvard and Swani Hand also from, and I think they were sharing how it is important that business needs to work together with other sectors, which is completely what Synergos is about, tri-sector collaboration. And so we try to invest in education, building a future together through collaboration. And I think we were, at that time, we invited Otto Sharma. I think just now also the Reverend talked about him. Yeah. And so Otto, I think some of you would know about his systems and youth theory. How many of you know about youth theory or systems? Open mind, open hearts, open will. So I think that's something that when he came together with Dean Ellen White, with Lester Thoreau, with I think Peter Senge was also played a key role in the founding. We started leadership program. So we have some of our fellows here, I think Ideas fellows, maybe Leah, Johannes Surya, I think Aldo just graduated also. So we also have the Indonesian delegation who are here. I think 4 of them are here. So thank you for your support. They have, I think we go through this leadership program, and at the beginning, sort of there's a lot of distrust and cynicisms, and at the end of the journey, I think each of us, we actually discover something else about each other, and also what we could do and how we can emerge as a better individual and as a better society. And I think to graduate, they actually have to do a prototype together. So I think, I don't know which group Aldo was in, but I think they just graduated one group. This one we included technology. It was actually Konstantin's son. He's the managing director of the IEEE, the largest technology body in the world, professional body, and his son joined the program, Happy Digital X, right? So just now he was just sharing how his son actually was able to do 100%, got 100% in the school because of this, joining this program, because he was able to understand the issues deeply. And so I think, how do we, in Indonesia, the president likes to call it blusukan, which is the sensing journey. You go into the place of the highest challenge, but also the highest potential. And how do we come together with mindsets from different angles, and then we emerge out of it. And,
This is such a great example of bridging leadership, and we also have used a lot of Otto Scharmer's methods in the work that we've done in different places. So it's just great to hear you tell that story. And then I know you had to spend a lot of time on your businesses in China and all of that, but tell now the story of how you got involved in climate finance and what you've been doing and who you're connecting with there.
Okay, so I think it was quite a surprise to me also. My husband, who is here, Enki, and my sister is here. My kids are not here, but my daughter is like a Greta Thunberg. My husband is on the board of Conservation International, so they really sort of insisted I have to do something about the climate. I was doing a lot more on the bridging side, and I think I was actually being announced. The coordinating minister of maritime affairs, Luhut Panjaitan, had a virtual conversation with SPEC John Kerry, special envoy, and so in that conversation he said that, Cherie, you are the special advisor for the country and representing us to move this forward. And then I was thinking, okay, this is something new, and this is just here. But later I was discussing with the family, and I wanted to make sure that I could do this. This is a very big task, and I asked the minister and others to give me just some time, and I was very fortunate that I think perhaps they asked me to do this role because of what we have done on blended financing. I think as a business, we realize that we have to take responsibility on a lot of the issues. I think businesses are lobbies. Businesses do have a lot of influences, as what I think the Reverend has said, on our decisions with our staff or the communities around. And I think maybe since the Milton Friedman's time, where the 50 years ago, it's business just have to care about shareholder profits and nothing else. And that kind of glorified that shareholders' return and the short-termism and a lot of the behaviors that we feel needs to change. And I joined the International Chambers of Commerce, and I think and we actually brought in Paul Polman, who became the chairman, and I think things have been changing, and I think the movement of businesses, or I think at that time the Commission published Better Business, Better World, that was supported by the UN Foundation and Gates Foundation. And so the report actually identified that there are trillions dollars of economic opportunities and jobs opportunities if we were to have business models and strategies that is aligned with solving UN Sustainable Development Goals.
And is that what you mean by blended finance?
Yes, so I think blended finance is a way to incentivize private sector to actually use the funds, to channel the funds into social causes. It might sound, I think for philanthropists or civil society or others, it may seem a little bit, why would we be incentivizing private sector? But if we were to solve whether it's the climate or the poverty and other issues, we cannot do it without business. If we need business to change, business to solve these problems. And for example, our Minister of Education, Nadiem Makarim, he was founded Gojek, which is trying to solve social issues. It's like those motorbike they ride, and now it's like a decathon, So now he has decided he wants to dedicate himself to help with the country's education system, and we're going to work with the UN Secretary General to facilitate a session with all the universities' president, and he would be one of the keynotes, and because I think he's abolishing exam, he's making a system of really immersions so that the students can go into the real world, to the foundations or to the businesses to solve real situation, which is what we do in our programs. I was in the museum just walking around. I love, if you had a chance to just have a look, not only do they show the artifacts from, beautiful artifacts from around the world, but they also show the process of making them. So, how do you make it from the hollowing of, I think sort of like there's like a Buddha design, but the process is what matters. And I think what I think we all need to do and invest time in is investing time in how we work together, how we learn to let go so that we can let in. How do we go into the areas and suspend our cynicism, our fears, and our suspicions, and work together and bridge this divide. So I think these areas we have been focusing. Finance through blending. So if we are able to use either government or public or philanthropic funding to crowd in the private sector so that you could actually increase the outcome by 4 or more fold. So only 2% of bonds are green bonds, for example. This should not be. And there is a need of 3 to 7 trillion, depending on the paper, to annually to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So there's no way to meet those targets if we do not use blended financing. Blended financing is only for activities where there is an opportunity to have some return, but you could have used like loss guarantees, you could structure a lower interest loan and or concessionary grants to do the research. So we are working on like a few very big items. I think one, you were talking about Eddie on the health, this is breakthroughs in health. So actually this Friday I will be going with our Minister of Health to meet with Andrew Lowe, an MIT professor. So they're talking about a 30 billion Health of Nations bio fund or bio bond. And the technology allows this to be profitable. So you can invest and cure world's diseases, so that we would see a lot more of in the past it would be like miracles, like what is happening to amazing individuals who can see again, who can walk again, or who can do. And so that's one, and we are doing on the climate side quite a few. One is the energy transition mechanism. So that is how we were able to shift the climate ambition for countries. If there is funding to allow early coal plants retirement, then it is not impossible for countries to agree, because otherwise they cannot move the ambition. I think there's Don Canuck who came up with the concept with WEF and OECD, and subsequently ADB came on board, and I think Rausch, and I think we're also meeting this weekend with a lot more others to crowd in those funding to support developing countries or emerging countries, so we can really shift the ambition on the net zero, which we have done by more than a decade in Indonesia. And we have, as a fossil producing country, announced no more new coal power plant, which, these are possible because of blended financing. There's an CCC, the natural capital communities and carbon markets that we are envisaging. We want to emphasize the natural capital and the community, so it's not just carbon. So it's the natural capital communities and carbon. So these market system that can enable solutions and proper pricing, so that we could really save the forest and save the ocean. So there's a big fund that is also being prepared called Blue Halo S. It's a system solution for oceans, because I think it's ocean overfishing is already threatening also our own existence. I think we have a table also from the Planetary Health Alliance, and we have we also have from the Women World Banking and many of also Columbia universities and others. So and I think with the GPC family, we hope to work together on this. I think there's one on anti-poverty, speed anti-poverty, which is using digitization and technology, which I think we won the award in China this year for the e-commerce big data platform to support SMEs. So 40,000 SMEs that we have supported. And this platform, I think, is something China got out of poverty 10 years ahead of target. And the biggest reason we believe is the digitization and allowing the most remote people in the farmland or in the mountains to be able to sell your produce or your product, and get the value that they need. Yeah.
So this is mind-blowing. I've never sat with you and talked about all of these things at once, but what it's making me reflect on is, first of all, what you're doing and what you're talking about and what Reverend Barber was talking about, and the coming together, or the needed coming together, of the Poor People's Campaign, whether it's in the US or elsewhere, meaning the upsurge of people's voices getting heard, which is something you've always been concerned with, but at the same time, connecting that value system with some of the financial mechanisms, some of the global organizations, and then trying to connect them, which is ultimately, it's a huge vision. And one of the reasons why the people who are in this room is because they share aspects of that vision. Not everybody's going to be doing the same thing. Some people are doing it through philanthropy, some more through business, some through other mechanisms. But it just makes me realize how lucky we all are to be here together, for one thing, and to have the opportunity to listen to each other, to share possibilities, to share hopes in the context of what often seems like a somewhat hopeless situation. And so, although it was somewhat coincidental that you and Reverend Barber ended up being the two people that we're honoring tonight, I see that actually there's a higher intention about it that we couldn't have thought of ourselves in addressing sort of the two ends of the spectrum and the different strategies that are needed, and beyond that, the need for those two strategies to come together. So thank you, Cherie, again, from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing is, I think if there's one thing, it's the spiritual aspect, right? I think we need to, in Balinese we say Trihita Karana, the three ways to happiness. I think the pursuit of happiness is in the Constitution, and for that you need the harmony of people with people among us in this room and beyond this room, and people with nature and people with the spiritual. So I think we're in the right place, and I think Synergos has started that, and you embodied it, and it's really full circle, and we are grateful for this, and continue.